So I think we're live. Hi, everybody. We're in avatar form. But speaking here is Fozia Dwelle Virtue. I'm one of the community outreach workers on the gender-based violence team.
And hello, I'm Mariah. I'm also one of the community outreach workers on the gender-based violence team at Strides Toronto. So we wanted to bring you this video to kind of talk about some stuff, but I just want to say before we get started, the information in this video is provided for information purposes only. It should not be used as a substitute for professional support or treatment.
Great. And some of you are wondering, what? Strides Toronto? What happened to ISSA Metro? Well, Mariah and I are the community outreach workers on the gender-based violence team. And pre-COVID, we were part of Legacy ISSA Metro. But I think during our time away from each other, that shift to Strides Toronto has happened. But it's the same program, and the workers on the team are very much the same workers. So it's just a different look, but we're still here. Okay, maybe a second look, because we're here with a new logo and avatars. Let us know what you think about our avatars in the comments below.
Yeah, did we do a good job? Do you think we matched ourselves? But so we wanted to talk about is trauma and just how trauma is manifesting during this time. Specifically, a couple of ways that we see it. This is not the whole spectrum of the way that it can affect you. But just like a general definition of trauma, trauma is the lasting emotional response that often results from living through a distressed event. Experiencing a traumatic event can harm a person's sense of safety, sense of self, and ability to regulate emotions and navigate relationships. Long after the traumatic event has occurred, people with trauma can often feel shame, helplessness, powerless, and intense fear. And we're going to try to give you some steps and tools to regulate that.
Cool. So I think I skipped ahead, and while you were sharing those pieces around what trauma is and how it might impact people's lives, I actually had it on the facts about Mariah slide. So do you want to touch up on what's happening in your life? What's this shawarma? What's this cat situation?
So, I have just recently got a kitten. His name is Hiccup. So I am now a cat mom. Very exciting. If you know me, know that this is something that I've wanted for the last year or so. Also, during COVID, one of the things that I'm doing is trying a lot of different types of shawarma places. So I've tried probably about 5, just trying to find really the best one in Toronto. So if you have any suggestions that you would like me to try out, please comment below, and I would love to give that a try.
Neat. Oh, congratulations on your new cat baby. I think you'll make a really wonderful cat mom.
Thanks.
What have I been doing? I've been cycling quite a bit. I've been feeling like a house pet, like many of you have been. I really have a deep understanding of why dogs go absolutely agitated if they are not able to go for their walks, and I've been feeling like I'm a little house dog. So to manage those frustrations and the pent up energy in me, I've been going cycling. And I've also been Googling a lot of facts, all the did you know interesting facts that are out there. I've been going through a lot of different rabbit holes. I generally want to be good at stuff and things. And right now I'm following a series on African empires in the 15th century. So that's how I've been spending my time.
Very exciting. So the way that our trauma responses and reactions can bubble up in our relationships can be seen in many different ways, specifically in our relationships with intimate partners, coworkers, or friendships, and family. Some of the ways that we see is difficulty assessing social cues, so not necessarily picking up on social cues from others, seeking attention in appropriate ways, challenging another person's viewpoint, Sometimes skipping right to relationship goals or right to wanting to be best friends with someone, as well as just like ending things very quickly and abruptly when not being able to understand another person's viewpoint.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking about like trauma materializing in like a relational way, Mariah? Like, and that's something that we should notice a bit more?
Yes.
Cool. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what is your avatar doing? What's happening to your avatar right now?
So, this is my avatar having trauma manifest in regards to thinking. So, some of the ways that that can be shown is forgetting things, being very forgetful or kind of like scatterbrained. Um, so that's what's shown here, as well as black and white thinking, so not really understanding the gray of situations. And then going straight into panic mode. So going
Hmm.
right into that state of anxiety when it's not necessarily the way that it is perceived is just a little bit more challenging.
Would you say that if somebody is being impacted by trauma in like a thinking way, that it would be difficult for them to like learn new ideas or process new information?
Yeah, so often if we're in our trauma brain, that the intake of information isn't necessarily coming in as clear and as much as we want because we're
Mm-hmm.
in the state or fight, or freeze that we often do talk about. So the intake of information isn't necessarily as clear as it would be if we were in our non-emotional brain.
Cool. Good to know. How does it come into our bodies? What's happening with your moods? You look like you're happy and then you're not, and then I'm clutching my heart.
Yes. So with our emotions, it can be difficulty managing the emotions. You can almost get like a state of euphoria and happiness, and then very dramatically switch over into like a sadness or a negative feeling. So there is some positives to being able to reach this state of euphoria, which can help with goal setting and motivation. But
Mm-hmm.
it's the key is to being able to regulate the emotions so that the switch isn't so abruptly, so it doesn't really impact you that much.
Yep.
You can also become easily frustrated or have that sense of shame that we did talk about before.
Right. Ooh, I think this might have to do with like being outside of your window of tolerance.
Yes. So often with our window of tolerance is where we are able to regulate our emotions and we can take things in that are not so positive and we're able to work through those ourselves. But sometimes we often leave our window of tolerance, which we can go into hyperarousal or hypoarousal. So part of that is the feeling of exhaustion and just tiredness and just feeling overall low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my avatar in the corner is, or on the left-hand side, kind of displays how like it really connects. If I go outside of my window of tolerance and I go into a hypoarousal or what we would call a freeze expression of anxiety, then that would mean that even if I do get in all those naps or sleep throughout the night, not enough, I can't seem to get enough of it. I'm still in a low energy state. I might be feeling emotionally numb, and just not at an energy level that I'm used to at my baseline. So it can mesh the physical manifestations of trauma, the emotional manifestations of trauma, really look like it's captured in that kind of cloud and thunder being over my head.
Yes, yes. So this would be in our actions, but also showing the hyperarousal. So getting up to that very high, intense emotions where you just, it can be shown through increased energy or anger, or just like your body is reacting.
So even if you make plans, say you feel like you're clear-headed about executing a set of objectives you've outlined, you find yourself completely abandoning it and having a reaction rather than responding to what your original intentions were.
hmm It's also important to highlight that sometimes in our actions, it's seen as impulsivity. This is where you would be seeing suicidality, self-injury, and trauma reenactment.
Hence my fiery avatar. There's nothing left except for reactivity. Kitties! Did these
Yes.
look like any of your new kittens?
Well, I think that the one on the left would be the most similar to Hiccup, being a curious kitty, but sometimes he is definitely the middle kitty.
Okay. So his trauma responses usually manifest in a hypoarousal, energized, angrier emotion.
Yeah, just like wanting to get out that energy by any means necessary, whether that's running around, whether that's biting the couch.
Mm-hmm.
hmm So, like, the important part about the kitties is just that this shows how trauma can affect everyone differently. So, all these three kitties went through a similar experience, but it's just showing a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm. And it also shows that we share it with kittens. Like anxiety is not an exclusive human experience. Anxiety is part of the wiring of other animals and life forms.
hmm
So, how do we manage this? Since this is something that is physiological and natural and a part of our like system that is trying to protect us, what are ways in which we can actually calm ourselves when there isn't like, an actual threat versus like a perceived threat?
Yeah, so one of the couple ways that we can do that is working on our protective factors and resiliency. So some of that ways that we can do that is working on our advocacy skills, bringing out our internal voice. So that's a little bit louder. Um, Working on self-awareness. I think one of the good ways of being able to regulate your emotions and do that work yourself is being able to name it to tame it. So
Mm-hmm.
naming your emotions, reflecting back on your emotions, and trying to understand that why that happened and how you kind of got there.
That's really good. Is that part of self-care and like setting goals with yourself for yourself?
Oh, yes. I think that perspective factors, resiliency, and self care definitely intertwine with each other. It's one thing definitely builds off another, and it's beneficial to build self care and protective factors for that blanket of being able to go through life and deal with tough experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to persevere.
Right. And I would define self-care, and I'm sure others will have different definitions, but the way I see it, it's an activity that deliberately um it's like a deliberate activity that you decide to do to take care of your physical, spiritual, emotional, and psychological well-being. It's going to look differently for everybody. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a trip to the spa or something costly, or something that we see in the media or movies. Self-care could be going for a walk that you intentionally want to take to calm or to maybe tire your body, or it could be listening to music you enjoy or making a meal that you enjoy. It doesn't have to be an elaborate activity. Ooh, do you journal?
I do journal. I have actually a self-care journal. So I journal my emotions in regards probably about every week. just really writing out how I felt and acknowledging my moods and just how they fluctuate throughout my day. I find that to be very self-reflective and encourage personal growth. But then I also will journal the self-care steps that I've taken. So if I, made myself a special meal, or if I had a bath, or if I went for a run, I would write that down.
Cool. I have my avatar logging off because it's a self-care activity I've been doing recently because of COVID. I found that now that we're, in our homes a lot more, getting on some kind of screen has just become that much more easier, and I'm getting headaches from it. So I've been trying to log off or take naps during the day deliberately to, work through that. And I think here's some other examples of what Mariah and I have been doing. I've been going outside. That's why my avatar is under that flower. I've really been enjoying being outdoors.
Yeah, the sun is definitely a good aspect. So the middle one would probably be like me, 95% of my self-care during COVID, just spending time with my cat and relaxing and just paying attention to myself and my body. But I've also, with the new weather, I've been doing some yoga outside. So that's been pretty exciting for me.
Awesome. And I think that's it for us now. We moved through this really quickly. Let us know what you thought. Let us know if there are different areas that you want us to speak to more directly, if you want to know about anxiety more, or whatever thoughts that you might have had from our session today. And leave whatever comments you'd like. We want to keep producing videos that are interactive and interesting. So I'm kind of hungry, so I'm going to start heading out like my avatar says. But before I do that, I do want to share resources that you can reach out to. If there's crises that might arise or you need to speak to somebody, on a 24-hour, 7-day kind of schedule. WhatsApp walk-in is still functioning here at Strides Toronto, but if you find yourself in need of some support outside of WhatsApp walk-in hours, reach out to the Kids Helpline or the Toronto Distress Center or the Gernstein Center. And we'll leave you with that. And until we see you again, have a good day and take care of yourselves.
Yes, thank you very much for watching, and it was a pleasure. I don't know how to.
No, I'm freaking out here.
Should I leave and call you back?
Yeah.